We've asked them to come up and talk about how you can grow with your staff to build the best division possible for you and your opportunity. So let's give them a warm round of applause. Welcome them up here. Thank you, Brian Carter.
Thank you, sir. All right. Awesome. The forward button goes forward.
Yes.
All right.
Also, you dressed the whole family up for Halloween in Star Wars. It was great. You don't see
It was pretty fantastic. I am a Wookiee, if you couldn't tell. That's my son Noah. He is a Jedi like his father before him. Hello, Net Meeting. My name is Brian Carter, and I sell knives. It really is a privilege to be up here on stage. I'm so excited to be here. With my work that I've done as a district manager for many, many years, I haven't had the privilege of attending RDCs. I haven't gotten a chance to experience a lot of what you guys get, just the quality content that we offer for the field, and just learning from people that do this at such a high level. You guys are business owners, and I have so much respect for what y'all are doing. Heck, if anything, I'm chasing after you, trying to improve my game in the field, so that way I can really help lead my team better. It's been so many great speakers, and I have to confess, though, I'm really excited that I'm not following Luke, because he's really funny. And I'm also excited I'm not following Danny, but I keep wanting to say no tortillas, and I don't know if I'm being unintentionally racist. I will ask him later, though, so he can hopefully clear that up for me. All right, so let's see here. To kind of give you a little bit of background about myself. Again, I'm a district manager. I've been with the company for 13 years now, and again, I don't say this to flatter y'all, but it's just such an impressive group we have here. I know the work that goes on the district side, from advertising, recruiting, office management, and honestly, the highest level, the best we could ever possibly hope to achieve as a manager is to develop you guys. I mean, literally, and not even to develop y'all. Y'all really develop yourself at this level, but to at least put you on a path to have this kind of opportunity. And some of us go years without ever having a single person at y'all's level of talent. And I have to say, I think a lot of our maybe field leaders almost take that for granted. Like, you guys don't know how good this room is. It's astonishing. It really is incredible. And I hope you guys honor that. And to that end, if anyone leaves halfway through my talk, stab them, because we sell knives. Standards. So, I've been here for 13 years now. A fun little exercise real quick, then I promise I'll give you some of the goods. When I started, a homemaker was 805. Homemaker plus 8. So, real quick, I want everyone in unison, I want to yell out, how much was a homemaker plus 8 when you started? So ready, set. 7. All I heard was 805. All right. I am a Court of Honor district manager. I'm over $6 million in sales, and I do love being a DM. But honestly, I've been a show rep even longer. My first show I did was in 2004. Back then, literally, my DVM said, we have got this event. It's at Dallas Market Hall. Someone isn't going to show up on Saturday. If you want to go there and set your knives up, you can get a few leads and maybe sell a little bit. I said, fantastic. That sounds like not phone time. Okay? So I was all about it. I literally brought a sheet from home. I had my blue book sample kit, and I sold about $2,000 that day. I was not a high flyer. Yeah, whoop, that's right. Are you not impressed? Okay. And no, but I honestly, I was really fired up. And when I got to the office the next day, my ADVM sat me down and explained to me how I wasn't on program because I didn't get enough leads and I wasn't supposed to be closing at the booth. So it was a silly, silly time in the business, okay? And yes, we walked to all of our shows uphill in the snow both ways. So I try to tell my team some of these things, and their eyes roll to the back of their head. I get a sense for what my children are going to be like one day. But no, just the same, I literally, my first show was in 2004. I became a district manager in 2005. You guys have had my heart longer than the management side has, that is for sure. I took over as coordinator in 2014 from the great Tom Rastrelli, the Godfather. And anyone who knows Tom has been impacted by Tom, loves Tom Rastrelli. And I think I won the default award. They asked me to step into the role, and I was definitely the last person to find out I was going to be the coordinator, but I was committed to doing my best. I will never forget the first meeting that I had when I took over. And I remember sitting down with my division and sitting down with our team. And I remember telling them that we are the Texoma division. We are literally the best representation. Every ad we ever put up, every interview we run where we talk about this badass opportunity, you're the people who are realizing it. You are literally the highest and best version of this division. Because the job we're filling for course, different than what managers do. You guys are literally the apex of all that stuff we talk about. And I remember telling my team that, like, screw every office, screw everything else, we would be the number one office in the Texoma division. And don't get me wrong, I know each of y'all tab for different areas, but I said, I guarantee you, you take what this team is going to produce in the next year and you compare that to anyone else, no one runs with us. No one runs with us. And that's really been the theme we've been trying to develop. We are the Texoma division. And I've been so proud to see our guys continue to grow. Our team culture, we're humble and hungry. We're committed to growing, improving, and leading. And no one is too good here. And really that comes down from the quality of people we associate with. Having Josh Muller as our advisor is I can't even stress his level of contribution. Having Curtis JQs, the availability that he has. I mean, it helps that a lot of his mentees are on the team, but Curtis has always been such a wealth of resources. We were setting up at the rodeo that we just got into. We've been fighting for years. We pay them way too much money, and they screwed us out of our corner booth. So we're just calling Curtis on the spot, going like, all right, man, what do we do? You know, and he makes himself available at the drop of a hat. Jason Jeffrey has done so much for my team. He's taken so many of my team members under his wing and just quietly elevated their game. Not always getting the recognition or appreciation he deserves, and probably least of all from me. So thank you for what you do. Dave Bush, the events department, you guys have been so patient with all this, and it really is together, this partnership, this group is what's made us so good. But because we surround ourselves with such high level of talent, no one on my team is too good to grow. No one on my team is too good to role play. If as a district manager, I go to SLC and they're going to make me practice a PR collection script, screw you guys, all right? You're going to role play Curtis's new customer approach, all right? Deal with it. In fact, our next meeting, we're going to drill that whole reassurance close. You're going to have to send that to me, man, because that thing was gold. I was going to buy a homemaker from you, all right? It's that good. Last year, I sold $100,000 personally while running my office and managing the division. I was actually in the field in the booth for less than 50 days. Not that that's the most significant accomplishment in the world, but I would challenge your preconceived notions. I think any of us can elevate our game quite a bit. But my role as a coordinator, the way I've always seen it, is to create opportunities for our team and to maximize sales within the territory. That's my job. That's what coordinators do, okay? And for the coordinators in the room, if you're doing anything less than that, you're not serving your team. So, diving into this, we've got a couple stats here from the last 2 years. When I first took over the division, again, as Josh said, we did 34 events. Our sales were 700 plus thousand, and we had 3 complete booths. 3 complete booths and the one ghetto booth that no one wants to work, okay? Do you guys all have a ghetto booth? Yeah. You should have a ghetto booth. It's fun. All right, in 2015, we moved up to 75 events. We did 1.2 million in sales, and at this point, we have 8 complete booths. We're working to continue that growth, and in fact, I'm much more excited about what this year holds than what we accomplished last year. For January of 2015, we sold $36,985. For January that just finished up, my team sold 101,000 American dollars worth of Cutco. That's dirty. And why is that, Carlton? Because we be lions. All right. So the point of my talk is just to get a chance to try and share some of the things that we did, and hopefully some of this will connect or be relevant to the struggles that you guys are pursuing. A lot of y'all are experienced coordinators, and I honestly would love to sit at your feet and learn what you have to offer. A lot of you guys are newer team members, but I promise you I have some things that, if nothing else, I think can stimulate good conversations with your leaders. So even if it doesn't seem immediately applicable to everyone in the room, I'm just going to ask for your engagement with me here for this next little bit. I'll try not to bore you, and the reality is, I think I've got some good stuff I can share with y'all. Any fans of Tim Saunders here, the author? Like Likability Factor, Love's a Killer App? Okay. He's a great author, and Love's a Killer App is one of my favorite books. And he's got a line in there. He says, business education without execution is just entertainment. I didn't come here to be entertained, and I hope you guys didn't either, okay? I'm giving my time away from my wife, my kids, my business, my stock show, all right? I'm here to learn, I'm here to teach, I'm here to grow. I hope you guys are too. We didn't come here to be entertained. So let's talk about how we made that jump. For us, the big changes we made, there were kind of 3 areas that I wanted to touch on. First off, it was delegation and strategic partnerships. Getting a chance to work more effectively through the team we had in place, and being much more open to the positive impact that other people could bring into our team. Checking our ego, checking our entitlement, and saying, as good as we are, things can be better. And trust me, I've learned so many things right now that I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for some of my failings as a leader over the last year, where we could do so so much better, okay? We could do so much better. The second thing is it should always be our focus, you know? Dave Bush shared this. I think it was 2 years ago when I first came on as coordinator. I was talking to Josh. He was just sharing with me a message from Dave, and it was all about our strategic focus. We had to increase our event averages. We had to increase the total events we did and increase the size of our teams. And for us, as a part of that, though, we had to increase the number of booths. The booths had become the bottleneck, and we couldn't grow to the level we needed to without doing that. But then the last thing was the higher standards and policies that were driven by our leadership group. As our team expanded, and I think this is true in every organization, it's like a pyramid. The bigger you get, the more events you're doing, the larger that happens, it just starts to pull at the top. It creates tension. And a lot of teams, the way they operate currently, they're not scalable. They are not scalable. And so we decided to make some of the changes now before we hit that point of critical mass so that as our team continues to grow, there doesn't have to be a limit to it. No one's going to come into my team and say you can only have this many managers, or this is the limit on compensation, or these are the amount of shows that you're allowed to do. As long as Olin gives us the green light, screw everybody else, because my team's ready to go. Okay? We did not come to play. So the way that we kind of went through this, I want to get a chance just to dive in head first. When it comes to delegation and partnership, and I may not hit every point here exactly in order, but I'm sure you guys will indulge me. I like to think of partnership much more than delegation because honestly, that's the way that it's been for me. The idea is to align your team with the best and try and position your individual team members to where they can be their most productive. And by the way, for individual team members in the room, if you're not being positioned where you can be your most productive, then you need to have positive conversations. You need to talk about what your role could be or what it could look like, how you can contribute. And you need to be humble and ready to hear the answers you're going to get. I had a conversation recently with one of our team members and he said, I want to be a leader. I know I can do it. I think I could do it. I said, I know you can too. Do your new customer approach for me. Nail your new customer approach right now. I'll promote you this second. I'll waive every other qualification. And he goes like, perfectly? And I went, you're not ready yet. But the fact you're that ambitious means you're going to be on the group, but you're not ready yet. Okay, so why don't you go work on that? Let's have a conversation here really soon. You know, that's the standards that we have to have. But it is about that partnership. It's about working together. When I took over as coordinator, I had a couple conditions. Number one was that Tom stay on at least in an advisory role. I don't know how to do this stuff. I don't know how to do a chargeback form. Okay, we sent a chargeback form for a show that I didn't even do it. Tom typed it up, but God bless him, he's old. And I mean, he reported us at like $1 billion. I don't know. It stood forever. And Eileen or Deb sent me an email and they're like, hey, do you have a record? And I was like, I mean, yes, but not in the events group. We do now, but you know, not then. And you know, it is what it is. But I didn't know how to do that stuff. So I was humble enough just to say, hey, no problem. We need good people who can do that. I also would not do it unless I had the backing of Roger Rodriguez and Calvin Lopez. They had been so instrumental helping Tom. I needed that next level to advise me, to help me, to assist me. And they were big on that. We also had, geographically, we're a large territory like many of yours. And our Oklahoma staff and our Texas staff were really managed and treated very, very differently. Not negatively, but differently. And I knew that wasn't healthy. We couldn't grow together to realize our potential until we became one team. And that was a process. That took months to accomplish that, but it was worthwhile. The important thing to understand, though, is that the point of delegation is it must be additive. We do not delegate responsibility so that way I'm less busy. That's not constructive. Okay? I am a dad, I'm a district manager, but I'm a coordinator. I get paid to do this job and I want to do it well. And so the point of delegating is so that everyone is positioned to realize their highest potential. That's it. It's just so that the team benefits because we have badass people. The point of delegation is not so I'm doing less. The point of delegation is so that we unleash the team and we all do better. The reality is I can do chargebacks and calendars and admin stuff, but Kelly Martin does it like 100 times faster. I think the events department is going to send her like, you know, roses at Valentine's Day because they don't have to deal with me nearly as much. I love you guys in the back, by the way, but Kelly is a rock star. She just does it better than me. And the thing you have to understand is that including people in this, it's a retention tool. Involvement leads to engagement. And the more you try to have a closed hand where everything must go through you and funnel through you, the less you're going to be able to impact people. People no longer see this as a long-term opportunity that they can invest in and they can see themselves being in for a long time to come. I don't know how long I'll be the coordinator. Okay, I have no idea. I know we have plenty of good people who will take my place when my time here is done, but I don't want any of my people to see their opportunity as being limited because I'm currently sitting in the chair I'm in. Okay? I think, if anything, the coordinator role is absolutely essential, but I see it in the future. It's more about recruiting, it's training, it's strategic things like that. I think that it has to be disseminated among the team because I think that's what's going to allow us to grow. The most powerful thing that I think I got a chance to impact, and my biggest legacy in the Texoma division, I guarantee you will be our leadership group. I know every division probably has some variation of that, but for us, we knew that this was going to be essential. Our leadership group, we have established standards, we have structure, and we have perks. We try to make sure that all of our people have the opportunity, that they know what it is. It's very important that people know what those standards are. Whatever your group looks like, it doesn't have to look like mine, but it is important that people understand, how can I progress to that level? And at what point do we make those changes? And you have to ask yourself some hard questions as a coordinator. If you're going to surround yourself with leaders, if you're going to create an environment with that many strong personalities, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but you're all really good salespeople. Okay? Y'all can sell yourselves and everyone else on anything you want to do, okay? I love it when guys and gals in our team, and I honestly do respect the move. It's not a power move, but when they just get an idea in their head they want, and they just circle the wagons around their team, and they're just selling each other on why it's such a great thing, okay? And I don't even mind that, because that's just you being you, You guys are just talented sales reps. But you have to be willing to let go of some of that control if you are going to create this system. For us, our leadership group, it's based on sales leadership and contribution to the division. Okay? That's the way we define it. Sales leadership and contribution to the division. Our standards, when we first created the group in the beginning of 2015, and this was based on the people we had in our division. A lot of divisions, it should be higher, a lot it should be lower. But for us, you had to be at a minimum of $150,000 in career sales, and you had to have achieved $50,000 in boost sales. Okay? We wanted people that had a wealth of experiences to draw from so they could positively help the people around them. For the structure, we have a meeting, we have a monthly team meeting, and I do expect our leaders to be there. Don't get me wrong, obviously attendance may not be 100%, but that is an expectation. But we have a leaders meeting going into every single campaign, and at that meeting, we get a chance for our leaders, we pick all of the A shows. Every show we do, we rate an A, B, or C show, and my leaders exclusively work the A shows. You cannot grow your division if you don't position your best people in your best events. Okay? It is as simple as it is. This is a business, y'all. And the reality is, for our new people, I know sometimes that feels unfair, or it feels negative, or they're being excluded, but that just means you're not doing your job as a coordinator. You're not finding the other events that those kids should be doing right now, because those events are out there. So it's important, though, that you protect the events, that you grow your sales in your division, and that you protect your leaders' opportunity. And I don't mind telling them that. I don't mind telling new people on my team that I value you and you're important, but you haven't done what Marissa Mayer has done. You have a chance to, but you haven't yet. And that's why she's going to work that show. But I can't wait for you to show why you should be there next time. And that's okay. That is not a negative conversation. But you've got to be consistent and you have to be fair. We do contests. We try to do special events for our leaders group. But the most important thing they do is they decide 100% of policy decisions for the Texoma division. Okay? I have not made a policy decision unilaterally in the last 18 months. I don't do it. All right? I guide it. I don't mind directing the conversation. I don't mind making my position known and making it known forcefully. I have a strong personality, and I know that. But I don't make them myself. At this point, we vote on things. We vote on everything. Okay? And we do that because it's the right thing to do. We do that because we didn't let people on here easily, and we do that because we don't let people squat. All right? There's no high-level people that are entitled that just because they've done it in the past get a chance to sit there. And those are tough conversations, but we've had high-level people that had been here for years and sold hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we just said, honestly, the direction you're moving in doesn't align with what we're creating. I appreciate you. I respect you. I will stand on your shoulders and say thank you. Let's have a beer together. You're not on the team. Okay? And that's challenging, but it's necessary. And that is the job of a coordinator. That requires leadership. I will tell you this, my leadership group, it's a murderer's row. Are you kidding me? My leadership group is so freaking strong. I can't believe we only sold 1.2 million. What's wrong with you, Roger? Seriously, man. I can't believe we only sold 1.2 million. Are you being serious right now? Guys, we have Tom Rastrelli, Roger Rodriguez, Kelly Martin, Richardson, Kmart. We got Steven Decker, Marissa Mayer, Carlton Thompson, Chelsea Banks. Any Chelsea Banks fans? All right, y'all tell I did this. Roll Tide. Guys, we have Calvin Lopez, we have myself. It is a murderer's row of a team. And the way we got this done, and this is an important point, and then I promise we'll dive into some of the minutiae here. But coming off the State Fair of 2014, our guys had gone through this very powerful shared experience. Last night, Josh talked about key events. I hope you guys took 8 pages of notes, and if you didn't, I hope you go back and listen to that talk again, okay? Because out of our $1.2 million in sales, our key events, our top 20% of events we did accounted for $983,000 of it. Now you can look at that and say, wow, you guys sucked at other events. And I'll look at y'all and go, but we still beat you. Okay? Guys, one of the side effects that I don't know that Josh hit this, and I don't even think you can, because if you're not driving a key event program, you don't see the effect of this, but there is a camaraderie that develops when you are driving that much CPO, it's ethereal. You can't hardly describe it, but it's this community that establishes. But just like it came through that experience, it can go away. And we had that happen years past at the State Fair of Texas, and unfortunately, that was a missed opportunity. We had opportunities in the past. We could have advanced the program. And I wasn't the coordinator, but I've been a part of the State Fair team since its first year 9 years ago. I could add a part of that. I take ownership for that, even though I wasn't the coordinator. But the reality is we had a window of time where this powerful shared experience had elevated people. They'd been part of a championship team, and there was this energy present. It was the window that we had available to create this group that had been my vision from the very beginning. Okay? And what's exciting is that my vision was very small. Once we created it, the team's vision is what made it special. My vision was just having help and inclusion. That was my vision. These guys defined what it was, and they made it so much better. The leadership group is everything. There's nothing we could have accomplished that would have happened without that group. Now, this year we've advanced to manager roles, and we'll go through those manager roles here in just a second, but that's really the focus for this year. As we kind of go through here, I think I'm a slide behind. That's my house, okay? Guys, how do you spell relationship? T-I-M-E, you know, you have to prioritize shared experiences. You have to prioritize community. After the State Fair, for the last couple years, we've hosted like a cookout over at our house, and it's so much fun. And God bless our guests like Luke and Curtis and those guys, like flying in and, you know, staying an extra night. I've had a lot of people piled up in my house on air mattresses, and it's the funnest thing in the world. It's the greatest thing in the world. But getting a chance to share that time together is such a huge thing. When it comes to our leadership group, though, again, we can hit a few of those points. Let me go through the manager roles, though, because I've had a lot of questions about this. I very quickly realized that as we were growing and progressing, there was a lot of areas of the business where I was becoming the bottleneck. As the coordinator, I was the limiting factor that was slowing down how fast we could be going. And that's not an easy thing to say as a leader, to say that, you know, things are going well, but the reason they're not even going better is because of me. Now, that doesn't negate the good things I did do, but I still have to take ownership of that, just like I asked my team to take ownership of their both successes and their faults. So for us, we knew going into this year, the manager roles would be an important focus. We started out with our admin manager, okay? And that's, again, that's Kmart. She is my sounding board, my therapist, my like accountant. She's incredible. Any of y'all who've worked with her know how lucky we are to have her here. But we have an admin manager that helps with rebooking events, that updates our calendar, that handles chargebacks so it gets done in a timely manner, that communicates that with the team, that can reach out to Olean. And again, what she's taking and doing with that is so far beyond what my initial expectations were. And what's fantastic, I remember having a conversation after she had been in that role for about 3 weeks, and I said, since you've been doing that, the stuff I've been working on, because I still work the same amount of time as a coordinator, but the stuff I'm working on is totally different. Totally different. I mean, I'm doing way more high-level stuff, and it's not because that stuff isn't important. It's because that stuff is so important. If it doesn't get done, I can't do any of the other things. It's literally that crucial, but it's something that she could do not only well, but probably better than me, okay? And so, again, there's no ego there. That's just let your leaders lead. Let them do their job. We also established a booth manager. My goal with the booth manager, we have 8 booths at this point, and we're in kind of an interesting situation compared to most divisions. Pretty much all our booths are owned by our DVM or by the team, okay? In fact, I think Kelly's the only person on our team that actually has a booth, which I know is kind of a weird setup, but that's just the way it is. We all kind of got grandfathered into that, and that's just the world that we operate within. But we end up with a hodgepodge where we have a lot of events in the same weekend, and people are scrambling around to grab this or grab that. Someone took tablecloths out of this booth, so this other person got to a show, and the table legs that this one got didn't match with that one, and I just want to like blow my brains out, okay? I'm in training on a Friday. I'm doing a 10K fast start, or trying to get a 10K fast starter out the door, and I get a call from someone who goes, I just drove to Wichita Falls, and I don't have tablecloths. And I go, well, number one, oops. Number two, check next time. And number three, we could probably do better. Okay? So we're trying to do better. So Stephen Decker is now our booth manager, and the things he's already come up with are incredible. We have a lot of different size tables that have weird, janky legs. So we're going through and spray painting a line across all the tables and spray painting a line across the legs. You get a blue table, get blue legs. You didn't get blue legs, you're colorblind or you're dumb, and neither are our fault. It is what it is, okay? Steven goes, some of our booths, we have these different size bins because some people have very, very small cars. Me. By the way, and I'm sorry, I know this can be a touchy topic for some CSPs, but I am a DM. I've got my BMW, and Josh came up and worked one of our marketplace events with us, and we had such a great time in December, and I'm sitting there going like, crap, we got to get someone over to bring their car and do all this, and Josh is like, we can make it work. Okay, and I was like, no, we can't. This is a brand new BMW. We're not putting a 10 by 20 booth in this thing. And he's like, oh, this is going down, okay? He's like, this is going down. I don't know why I didn't put the picture in the slideshow. It's the second most impressive thing that happened all last year in my life. Okay? It did go down. No, he got it in there. I'm telling you, it was wild. So what, but I've totally lost the plot. But we have different size bins for different events. We have outdoor booths. So literally, Steven goes, hey, some of these are really hard to pack. I'm going to pack it up step by step the way it needs to be done. I'm taking pictures of it. I'm going to have that printed and laminated, and we're going to glue that to the inside lid of the booth bin. So that way, when a new guy's there, they're not sitting there banging our sets up. They're preserving the life of our booth that we've all invested in because we all own the booths in Texoma. I was like, I was going to do that. Guys, have you unleashed your team? Do you know the pool of talent that's available to you? It's astonishing. Okay, Traders Village is the world's biggest flea market, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Okay, again, no tortilla? Some of you weren't here for that. You shouldn't have been late. All right. So the reality is it's a weird event, but every time we work it, it's $60 to work. We sell between $800 to $4,000. And we don't work it a lot because we're short-staffed and it's not sexy. It's not sexy. But you know what it's awesome for? New people. Okay? So we're creating a new layer to our training. When someone goes through Texoma training now, they attend training, they do 2 days of field training, and they're required to work 2 weekends at Traders Village. Why? Because it's going to cost them $30. That's it. $30, okay? And we can actually get a locked garage, so we're actually taking our ghetto booth. We still have one that's not, I say complete, it's complete-ish, okay? Our ghetto booth, we're actually just gonna leave there because we can lock it up. It's just gonna have like 2 sets. It's our oldest beat-up sets, our oldest banner, our oldest tablecloths, but it's perfect for that venue. So our new guys, they don't have to worry about setup, they don't have to stress, they don't have to do that. They show up, they practice scripts, they get time with a vet, and everybody wins. It's going to be a game changer. We'll add $50,000 minimum this year just because we're in this janky flea market that we could have been doing for years. We just didn't because we didn't. I don't know why we didn't, but we didn't. We have a new events manager, okay? And I'm basically just I'm just gonna transcribe Curtis's talk and just like beat them over the head with it on negotiating. But it's a guy who's shown an interest and an ability to do that. He's gotten us in good shows. And then we're also taking all these different roles, and because we have 2 states and actually a new division that's growing out of our division, we're trying to mirror every one of these. I want someone in Texas and Oklahoma to do all these different roles. I don't want to be the bottleneck. I can't be the reason why we don't sell $2 million this year. I refuse to be that reason. And so to do that, I'm going to unleash my team. It's going to be incredible. Okay? So those manager roles, I don't think every division needs to look like ours. And a lot of them have done this for years. Rising Sun, Luke Mills has been like the marketplace manager. I know Curtis has so many healthy layers to their business. We're just chasing after people who've already figured this stuff out. But honestly, that's the whole reason you have good policies and you have that structure. How many times do all of us just solve the same problem over and over again? I mean, a lot of you guys, I'd like to think that handout would be very helpful to you. You know, maybe some of you don't need it, but I bet some of you would. Well, that's a problem that we solved, and you don't need to go solve it again. I would rather you focus on something I haven't been able to solve. You know, that's the point of the structure and the policies. It's not meant to have bureaucracy. It's not meant to be Byzantine and tie our hands and cause us extra work. It's so that we can focus on solving new problems and just having a better experience, because that's what's available to all of us, to every one of us. Okay? When it comes down to other stuff on here, I don't even know what points I'm at there. We'll just go next. How's that? All right. So when we went through this, you'll hear the theme of the leadership group coming up over and over again. One of the big things we had to do, though, we had to increase the number of booths. I remember having a conversation with Muller, with Josh, and I was saying, you know, we want to grow. We got to get more events. And he said, no, you got to get more booths. And I said, man, we've got a couple booths already, and we're not even really filling those. And he goes, trust me, you need to get the booths first. Because when they're sitting there, all of a sudden people start tapping their toes, because they know when they drive by and they see a sign for the boat show, and there's a booth sitting in there, and they could have worked the boat show, booth, boat, booth, and they're just twiddling their thumbs. Okay? All of a sudden, the team starts to get more aggressive. They start to look for opportunities. And he was right. He was 100% right. Okay? So we made a plan on how we were going to increase the number of booths that we had. And this is the behind-the-scenes stuff. This is the coordinator doing his job. But we sat down and we started looking forward, and we figured out our best way to increase the number of booths was to leverage the key events that we had. So all of a sudden, we sat down and said, okay, we have the state fair coming. Are we well enough equipped for that? And I was like, yeah, we can pull it off. You know, we did last year. He goes, right, but what other events do you have going on? And I was like, well, I mean, we're short-staffed. You know, we don't really do a lot of other events around that. Most people don't want to compete with Texas and this and that, whatever. And you know, and he just kind of called me out in a very positive way, just like he talked about. And he said, you know, is that true, or is that just your preconceived notions? Do you have data to back that up, or is that just your anticipation of where other people are at? And of course, I had no data. Okay, I just didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a booth. All right, it was literally as simple as that. And so once we started going through there, though, we made a plan in April that by September we would add 2 additional booths. And it wasn't easy. And honestly, it came down to the wire with me going to our DVM and going, hey, let me explain what's in it for you. And he's like, what's in it for me? I was like, mountains of CPO and really good retention. And I just need you to do this. By the way, some of y'all, if you would align yourself with veteran DMs in your district or your divisions, I know sometimes there can be an unnecessarily caustic relationship between CSPs and DMs. And don't get me wrong, guys, I know there's a lot of crappy DMs that you know, it is what it is. I don't want to be negative, but I would just say if you guys would go out there and communicate with some of the vets, if you would partner up with them, they have a very high level of influence. And trust me, you guys are all better at selling knives than any one of them. I promise you are, but I'm better at running an organization with this many moving parts than most of you guys are. I just am. I've done it a very long time. Okay? And there's much to be learned from both sides of us. I think that's why DVMs like John Carpenter, Stacey Campbell, Drew Frank, I think that's why they work so well with our people in the Southwest region, West Frank. They have an appreciation for that. They understand what they're going to bring to the table. And at the same time, we understand their contribution. We don't marginalize them. So I literally went and I literally had a conversation with John where I said, look, I'm not asking as a coordinator. I'm asking as your, you know, number 2 DM. I just need you to do this because it's the best thing for the division. And he goes, okay. All right. And by the way, this is not a pitch to say DMs should be coordinators. I think I'm kind of a weird example. I'm this vector chimera. I don't know what I am. But that was an area I could leverage my credibility and relationship with John. And a lot of you guys have people that will do that for you. Please give them a chance to. When it came to the booths, don't settle for just having booths. How good are your booths? What quality do you have? Out of our 8 booths, 6 of them have those beautiful backdrops from CTS. And you know how we got 6? Is we actually took our giant state fair events and said, that's worth investing in. We use that as the means and the excuse to get the first 4 of them. And then we've just been stockpiling that cash. And I went out there yesterday and told Chuck we need 2 more. Okay? We need 2 more. And you know what? Once we build the fund up again, I bet we buy 2 more. Okay? I want us to at least have that opportunity and make sure that we're good to go. One of the things that I did do to improve our booths, and this is important with your team, when I first took over, we raised fees. You know, and that was a tough conversation in some cases, but we did it temporarily. It was literally one campaign, and I bet most of the team doesn't even remember it. But I went to the team and I said, here's what I'd like to do. Here's what I need to accomplish that, and here's what's in it for you. I'm not going to make it for you. I'm not going to decide it unilaterally, but if you guys will go in on this, we'll only do it for the next 3 months, and our booths will be way, way better. Way, way better. And you know what they did? Unanimously, they said, let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely. Okay, and that helped set us on this path. for increasing the number of events. Okay? We doubled our number of events or came close to it. But we made it a strategic goal with the team. We painted a vision of the extra work in the CPO, but also the challenges. And you have to be fair to your team. We did incentivize it. A lot of divisions do this, but if you bring an event to the table, you get first right of refusal. You get to work it. Okay? Now, the exciting part is that allowed us to find a lot of new events. The unexciting part is I started having people email or text me or call me or slip me a sheet of paper at a random meeting, all these different things. And then we'd book an event and people were like, I told you about that. And I was like, when? Okay, like I'm not juggling all this. So we've actually gone to a Google form for submitting potential shows. And so that way it's all recorded. We know who did it. You know, we just put it live. So it's very simple. It's not hard. You know, it's just something that we could have done a long time ago, but we didn't. But you need buy-in with your leaders and you need to recruit aggressively. You need to be a Pat and Sides and have a vision for how big your team can be and what do you need to do to fill it. Doing the max out exercise. You know, this is something that I learned not directly from Jason, but I know it's one of his things. But sitting down with your team and just going, how big could we go? If we absolutely maxed out every event in this territory, what would that look like? And it got staggeringly big. This last weekend, we had 6 events that were going simultaneously, but we could have done 2 more, at least 2 more. 2 more that I know of, that I said no to. You know, we could have been doing 8 events, but we just didn't have the staff for it. And that's very eye-opening for me and the team. The marketplace events, my last 2 thoughts I would have on getting more events. Monthly marketplaces are huge. Last year, we added over $130,000 in sales with our monthly marketplaces. Why hadn't we done that before now? I don't know. But the good news is we're doing it now and we'll never stop. Okay? The monthly marketplaces are usually cheap. At Canton, we pay throughout the year, we pay between $250 to $500 a month to be there, and it equated to just over $100,000 in CPO. That's a pretty good ROI on that one, okay? My guys love Canton. We also do a much smaller one out in McKinney, Texas, McKinney Trade Days, and we pay $80 a month, but it still added 30 grand last year. I mean, you just can't beat that. I was talking to a coordinator that was cross-trained during the State Fair of Texas, and they said, man, that sucks. We don't have those events where I'm at. And I said, how do you know? And he goes, oh, I just know. We don't have them. I would have found them. And I literally just Googled the name of their pilot territory, Trade Days, and it popped up. And he goes, oh, but that's like an hour away. And I go, that's how all of them are. They just buy like cheap land so no one hassles them. And he's like, that's the same thing? I'm like, I don't know, but you should go work it one time and find out. Or better yet, work it 5 times and find out. Okay? Be careful with staffing and care about your team's profitability. The other thing is for our key events. You know, we're in most of the big events we want to be in, but there are a few hanging out there. The Stock Show and Rodeo is a big one we've been pursuing for many, many years. I don't have time to tackle that strategy, and there's other people better equipped to talk about it. Be smart, but don't be scared. Don't be afraid to step up. Don't be afraid to stretch yourself. We finally had a window where we could get in last minute, and that window cost us a lot of money. And we paid out $24,000. And by the way we got that done is I'm sitting in the office for a radio station, and I'm like blowing up the events department like 2 days before Thanksgiving. And sure enough, Dave Bush hits me back that night. He's like, I gotcha. I got this. Whips out that corporate card. Psh, it was beautiful. I literally had to put our DVM's card down as a placeholder, and I had to like threaten them not to charge it. I was like, his might go through. I promise mine won't. Okay. I literally sat down with our top 4 people and I said, I am willing to pay. I will literally go in for a 1/4 of this thing. I know it's going to be worth it. I have zero doubt in my mind. We will talk about this like we talk about state fairs in the future, but I need to know that at least a handful of you guys will do it with me. Our top people said, we're in. So I knew at least I had 4 people, 3 people, that we could do it together. But as always, our leadership group stepped up and we did it as a class. We did it as a group. Okay? I want to wrap up by talking real quickly about standards and accountability. Best-in-class standards and policies. We refuse to make excuses for low standards. Standards and policies have to be all about accountability, and they have to be about fairness. I talked before how we identify problems. We try to find solutions. The idea behind having well-articulated policies is so that we're not solving the same problems over and over again. But you need to simplify the process for your people. We have a Google form for submitting daily stats as well. That makes it easier for my admin manager. It makes it easier for everyone. They just type it in. No big deal. No big deal. We use GroupMe like crazy. Our GroupMe is ridiculous. Last night I was posting like slow-mo videos of Josh Mueller in pajamas leaping onto 3 of our reps. It was great. Our GroupMe is way more fun than any of y'all's. Okay, we have an ROR program. By the way, every division I feel should have an ROR program, and I won't even tell you what ours is. It doesn't matter because a lot of people have strong ideas on that. But the reason ours works is because we went to the team and we explained why we felt this was in the best interest of the team. And I'll tell you our case for it strategically is we said we have to up our marketing. We have to drive more of our clients to these events. We can't run with the LA County Fair. We can't run with you guys if we don't drive a ton of business to these events. And so we decided as a group that the net benefit, the rising tide that raises all ships, of having our clients there to leverage with other new customers was worth it. It was an investment all of us were willing to make. I don't care if every order that, I never had a past customer order for myself and they were all for other people. My team decided together, they made a mature decision that that was the right thing to do for the health of our events. And our growth has been substantial. It's been substantial. So again, but the important part was we took it to the team and they had a say in it. And you need to do that, okay? You need to give your people a voice. And honestly, I think that's one of the big messages that one of the frustrations a lot of people have. Do you know how your top people feel about your shift selection process? Do you know how they feel? Do you care? Have you asked? Okay? This is how dissension happens, y'all. This is how teams collapse under their own weight. It's a lack of clear communication. Do you know how your people feel about ROR? You've maybe promoted new people to your leadership group. Have y'all had a chance to revisit that? Not necessarily to change it, but have you resold your people? Have you had that same conversation for why we did this to begin with? And is it necessary to continue? Do your team know your goals and why it matters? Okay, does your team know how to bring up complaints correctly and appropriately? You know, do y'all have a policy for that? How do you handle disputes at the booth? Are you willing to have those kinds of conversations with your people? When do they get a voice in changing or continuing policies that are in place? Or do they? Or do you want them to? Okay? Again, I'm not saying everyone on the team, but I'm saying the people who move the needle. Some people make ripples, some people make waves. Guys, if you don't listen to your leaders, eventually they'll start following someone else. It's as simple as that. So you either get on board with them, you get them on board with you, but to the extent that you let that tension continue to grow, eventually people are going to separate. And it's happened many times before. I've seen it with divisions, I've seen it with programs, and it doesn't have to happen here. Contribution to the division has to be measurable. They're either a leadership role, or we've established that our leaders have to participate in 2 divisional events each campaign. It could be running a conference call for one of the offices. It doesn't have to be a huge time sink. We're very flexible, but their contribution has to be felt. All right? No squatters here. And again, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm so grateful that I've known a lot of top salespeople from a decade ago. But if you don't want to be a part of what we're building right now, congratulations for what you did a decade ago. Thank you for blazing the trail for us. We have room for you here. We want you here. God, we really want you here. But if you can't be a part of what we're doing, you can't be a part of what we're doing. You know, and that's just the standard that we have. That's not my line. That's the team's line. And you need to involve your DVM too. Get your DVM to come into some of the meetings as best you can, and include them in what you're trying to do. I think the other big point is that you have to be willing to sometimes have those tough conversations. You have to challenge your people, because if you don't, you're not leading. You're managing. You're administrating at best, but you're not leading. You can't be afraid to face those issues when it comes up. At the state fair, we had one of our newer guys that was just not producing, and he was about to get hit with a lot of significant chargebacks. And so I had to go and have a conversation. I said, man, I appreciate you. I'm so proud of you for how you stepped out, but honestly, I should have capped your shifts. You shouldn't have been exposed to as much as you have been. That's not your fault, it's mine. And I'm not unhappy with you, I'm not mad at you, but honestly, we've got openings at our marketplace event. Would you be open? Would you consider going and working this? That'll cost you $80 instead of having another $500 in charges, and we'll refill those shifts. Is that something you'd be open to? And he was grateful. He was grateful. But again, you know, you can't be afraid that going there is going to hurt his feelings, because he understood my heart. He understood where I was coming from. Being late. You know, that's a conversation. I mean, the reality is, but you have to, it can't just be you ranting on people. You have to explain, how is that reflecting on them, their level of professionalism, especially, you know, at events like this. Hey, when people come an hour late to the net meeting and the heads of the events department are here, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not mad at people, but you know, you're not doing your job if you're not willing to have those conversations, because people aren't doing it because they don't care. They're not doing it because they're unmotivated or lazy or bad. It was just decision making. We all do that. We're all, you know, can make those mistakes, but as leaders, we have to lead. You know, attitude and professionalism. A lot of our guys, a lot of our top people, y'all have a disproportionately high level of influence over the team, but you don't know it. You know, you don't know it. I had a CSP, and again, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I stepped outside and I grabbed a few of my guys and I said, hey, y'all, we're here. We're paying to be here. We need to be here. Let's show that respect. And he said, well, you know, I'm just here because they're covering that and I don't do that area of the business. And I go, I understand that, but my people are here because you're here. It is what it is. And so all I'm going to ask is, hey, if you're not going to be in the room, don't be in the lobby either, because you're making my job harder. Don't do that. Don't do that. Once people see and understand your heart, once they understand that you're going to fight for them, it's amazing what they're open to. I'm the hammer for my team. Yeah, I mean, these guys know I care as much about their success as my own, and I will fight for them. I'm the scourge of Silverleaf. I love it when we have crappy neighbors because I'm the guy who will just go in there and I'm going to protect my team. You don't mess with my guys, okay? So just to wrap up here, last thought. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. There's no room for ego as coordinator. Honestly, most of you guys didn't know who I was before I stepped up on stage, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I don't really care. But man, you should know my team. God, my team is astonishing. They're so talented. I mean, you should know them. They beat you. Respectfully. And by the way, they're going to do it again this year. And I bet they do it next year. And I bet they do it. I bet they do it long after I'm not the coordinator. I bet they continue to do it because I believe in them. My team is phenomenal. And I really do care about them, and they know that. The coordinator is not a lifetime achievement award. And what I would challenge everyone here is if you're a coordinator, are you owning your role? Are you serving your team? Are you innovating? But if you're not a coordinator, are you challenging things? Or are you just sitting back complacent? I didn't ask to be coordinator, they asked me. And guys, when you are owning your role on the team, whatever that might look like, okay, if you're owning your role, then I promise you, you have so many opportunities. The right people are always watching, the right people see it. So whatever your place is on the team, maximize your opportunity. No one is stopping you from finding shows. No one is stopping you from mastering your scripts. No one is stopping you from being as successful as you want. So I'm gonna close with this, okay? Josh told me that back in the day that people who don't notice when we cut corners are the people who share the same low standards. So my challenge to everyone in here over the next year, let's elevate our standards, let's own our individual roles and our results, and let's drive our program to the next $20 million milestone. Thank you.